Aaron from New Jersey says, hello, Hanson and Company. I absolutely loved Assassin's Creed Syndicate, but many gamers have fallen out of love with the series over the years. Was the year without an Assassin's Creed game truly the cure? How would you fix Assassin's Creed for future installments?
Well, as a fan, I would say that I would be curious, a little bit behind the scenes, I guess. I'd be curious how, in that year off, what Ubisoft has done to see how they approach, the series. Because it's not just that there's a year off and I didn't get to play Assassin's Creed, and I actually missed it, to tell you the truth. But, how are they going to go back and look at that series? And one of the things I would like them to do is, if they're going to do the modern stuff, which I'm not adverse to that being in there, I think it could be very good, is, map out that story, where it's going, and, how you're going to get there, instead of it just being this sort of, you just felt it was this free-form thing where from game to game, they were going to go left, and the next game they're going to go right, and they were just sort of making it up as they went along, because they needed it to be this thing that would just sort of continue ad infinitum.
Like post 3, you mean? You feel like they were on track through 3 in Desmond's story, and then it went off?
I think they just said, well, we're going to make all these Assassin's Creed games in the future, so we just need to leave it as open-ended as possible so that we can just continue it in perpetuity. And I feel you need to tighten that up a little bit more.
Yeah, I think lean as hard as hell into the historical stuff, because I feel like the further we got away from, honestly, for me, I think Assassin's Creed 4 is like the pinnacle of the series for me. I love Syndicate too. I thought Syndicate was really good, but the moment like the alien stuff started happening and the sci-fi stuff, like the sci-fi stuff is cool to a point, to the idea that like we can go back in time through our, through the Animus and whatever, like that's cool, but end of the world prophecies and stuff, like I just didn't care about that. Like I like the idea of these two organizations competing with each other throughout history, but the moment you start throwing in like doomsday prophecies and stuff, I didn't care. And also get rid of like some like the Ubisoft cluttered activities across the map, because there was like a meme that came out as soon as was it Unity came out, and it was just like all it was literally just a screenshot of the map, and there were more icons than there were like map space. It was insane. Like get rid of so much of that crap.
So Kato, like the sports world so well, obviously completely different game development compared to Assassin's Creed, but it's similar in the sense that they're on a grind. Do you feel like a 1-year break is enough for that, that time for everybody to really stop and reflect? I mean, having 2 years to develop a game as big as the next Assassin's Creed is still insane. Yeah,
it is. I mean, I know that obviously the sports games in particular, they come out, once a year. A lot of times they add modes, and I think there's some misconception, or however you want to phrase it, that a lot of that stuff is easy. But as you're pointing out, I mean, 2 years for a game that's nothing. You got to be talking 3+ years, 4 or 5 years to a lot of these games to make significant improvements. I mean, taking the year off isn't a lot of time. I'd be curious if in the run up to this, Ubisoft has so many studios making on so many different, touching so many different parts of these games and whatnot, that I would be curious how much they've sort of prepared for this break. For instance, even like, we've heard a lot about the different settings that this series may go, and we've heard about those, for years. And a lot of times the information we hear in advance ends up being right. So my point being is that there could end up being a roadmap that they're already following, that they've just sort of maybe course corrected a little bit on, that might make that 2-year gap, actually significant in a sense. So I'm hopeful.
Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can click right here if you want to subscribe and listen to the audio version of the full show. Full episodes air every Thursday, and they feature Game Informer editors sitting around talking about the biggest reviews, previews. We talk about exclusive impressions of Game Informer's cover stories. We have long-form developer interviews, everything that's great in gaming. So every Thursday, be sure to check it out.